Good day, everyone. Eric Olsen from Helps on Helps YouTube Live. Good to have you here. My name's Eric. I've been an attorney for 46 years, the founder of Helps. Helps is a national law firm that represents seniors and disabled who owe debt they can't afford to pay. And we protect seniors and disabled persons from collector harassment. We also educate seniors how they can maintain their financial independence. And I'd like to welcome you here. Got a lot of things to talk about today. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat feature. And if you've never been part of this group, I'd like to welcome you. The topic, the title of today is Why Aren't Seniors Told the Truth About Debt? I talk to a lot of seniors that are enrolled with debt management companies or debt settlement companies. And the one thing that they don't tell when I ask them, when you enrolled with this company, were you told that your Social Security or your pension, your disability, your VA benefit was protected by federal law? With rare exception, the answer is no, they never told me that. Instead, they're signed up making payments that a lot of them simply can't afford to pay. Or if they do pay it, they have to cut back on their medicine, or their heat, their utilities, their food, to make a payment to a debt management company or debt settlement company that they don't have to pay, because they're never told, by the way, you really don't need our help because your income is protected. So no one can touch your Social Security, no one can touch your pension, and there's a way you can stop the creditors from harassing you. Instead, they sign up with these companies and making payments that they don't have to pay. And what Helps does is we educate seniors about their financial rights. And that's our most important message to seniors, is that your income is protected. Even if someone were to sue you and get a judgment, it's protected in your bank account. Twice the amount of your federal benefits deposited in a bank account is protected in that bank account under a federal rule passed in 2012, which tells banks or credit unions they have to examine the account, your bank account. If there's a writ of garnishment against your bank account, they have to examine the account, and if federal benefits went into there, they take that sum times 2 and protect that, regardless of the source of funds in the bank at the time of a garnishment. So if you got, $1,800 in Social Security each month, 1,800 times 2 would be 3,600. That amount would be protected in your bank account, even if the money came from somewhere else. Now, I tell people this all the time, and I'm sorry if you've heard it before, but a lot of seniors don't know this, and a lot of seniors are new to this channel, and they need to hear this information. And even if you know this, it's kind of comforting to hear it. And so that's why I repeat it. So why aren't they told the truth? Well, if they were told the truth, they would realize their income is protected, and they wouldn't sign up with these companies, and these companies wouldn't make money. And a sizable percentage of their clients are seniors. What's especially sad is organizations that supposedly are supposed to help seniors, such as the National Council on Aging, who gets $50 million a year from our government, in their articles about seniors who are struggling financially, never bother to tell a senior that their Social Security is protected, or their pension, or there's means to stop the collectors harassment. Instead, they're steered towards debt management companies. Why is that? Because these debt management companies donate to them. Okay, that's how they're supported, in addition to getting money from our government. And so, I don't know if it's intentional or if there's just a total lack of knowledge on the part of some of these people writing these articles. But a lot of it is intentional, which is kind of tough. And I get uproar over it because I talk to too many seniors that are enrolled with debt management or debt settlement, and I get tired of them not being told the complete truth. Okay. So someone wrote in the other day, and they say, please help, we're in dire straits, we don't know what to do. So if you're in dire straits with debt and don't know what to do, listen to what we talk about today, because we're going to give you the answer. And I promise you're going to feel a lot better after you hear me talk and after we go over questions that people have. And if you have specific questions, you can put it in the chat and I'll address them there. And then I've got things that I've written out here. But I want to be able to answer your questions. You know, the important thing about helps is we're always there to answer your questions. When people enroll in helps, you're a client literally forever. So that if you have a worry or concern, you can always pick up the phone and call, no matter how often. That's why helps was founded. So seniors would always have someone to call. Okay? Judy asked, my neighbor's mother passed away, and he was telling me when a person passes away, their name is published in a national paper, and debt collectors have 4 months to collect on their estate. Well, I've never heard of that before. It's a new one to me. It's funny how some things start up. No, I've never heard, and I think I would have heard of that after 46 years of law practice, 40,000 bankruptcies, and helps for the last 12 years. No. But, so let's say someone does pass away. Okay. Maybe you're married and your spouse passes away and they had debt in their name. But the assets went to you. Okay. And so there's no probate. Okay. And you get these debt collection notices from, or credit card bills for your deceased spouse. What do you do? Well, when your spouse passes away, the funeral home will give you probably a half a dozen copies of the death certificate. All you need to do is use one of those copies or make another copy, staple it to the bill, send it back. And if there's no estate, you put no estate, no probate, and that'll be the end of it for the credit card company. They know that they can't collect anything. So, no, you're not going to have to worry about that. Okay? And we've talked before how you're not going to be responsible for your spouse's debt. Okay? So this person contacted us from Nevada. I just received a summons for a debt, and I cannot afford an attorney. If I don't show up in court, they are threatening to take whatever they can to satisfy the debt, or as far as going to jail for contempt. I only have 10 more days to resolve this issue. I really want to file bankruptcy because all kinds of debtors are threatening me from past due accounts. I just need to stop this. We only have Social Security, nothing else. So I'll talk about this, okay? Like I said, before I started helps back in 2012, I probably filed 30 or 40,000 bankruptcies. The firm that I founded is still, they're still in existence. They're the biggest in the state where I live. And, seniors would come into me that had debt, and I'd explain to them that their Social Security was protected. No one could touch it. So was their pension. And they didn't need to file bankruptcy. A lot of them couldn't afford to file bankruptcy. Now, why didn't they need to file bankruptcy? Because no one could take their Social Security. It was protected, and no one could take their other assets for different reasons. But I knew if I sent them home, creditors would still call them and could make their lives miserable. And so what helps does, it takes advantage of a law passed in 1978 called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act that provides if you're represented by an attorney, debt collectors have to leave you alone. And so that's what helps does, is when people enroll in helps, they give us the creditors to whom they owe money, and then we send what's called a cease and desist letter out to the debt collector or creditor, letting them know that our client's income is protected, they can't afford to pay the bill, and they're not going to pay it. And that's the end of the story. They have to stop communicating with them. Okay? Now, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act applies to debt collectors, not original creditors. But it's our experience that original creditors, especially credit card companies, when they get a cease and desist letter from helps, even though they're the original creditor, they're going to stop any verbal contact. One of the reasons is because at least 7 states takes the Federal Fair Debt Collection Practices Act and have put it into law for the state law as well. And so they may send a bill to a person, but they're not going to bother you on the phone. Okay? So, they're going to leave you alone. So this person in Nevada, I tell them, a debt collector or someone suing you isn't going to tell you the truth. All they have to do is say, we're a debt collector. Any information we use can be used for that purpose. They don't have to tell you, by the way, if you have Social Security, we're not going to be able to collect from you. No, they're not going to do that. They're going to do everything they can to try to intimidate you to get you or make arrangements to make payments. But this person's only income is Social Security. They have no need to file bankruptcy. They're worried about being held, going to jail. They're not going to jail. Okay. All kinds of creditors are threatening me from past due accounts. Well, when you enroll in HELPS, you're going to give us those creditors. We're going to send them a cease and desist letter, and they're going to leave you alone. Now, if you happen to get sued, you're going to get us a copy of the lawsuit. We usually only need the first 3 or 4 pages. And then the name of the attorney, the address, the case number. We're going to send a letter to the attorney who sued you. We're going to let them know that your income is protected. You can't afford to pay the debt. We understand they're going to get a judgment. Remind them not to touch your bank account, and they can't anyway because it's protected automatically, as I earlier explained. And then we're going to call you on the phone, explain why you don't need to worry. We're going to send you an email or 2 with links to articles and videos that explains why your income is protected, why you don't have to worry about the debt. So you're going to be okay. So that's what we're going to tell this guy in Nevada. He doesn't need to worry. And it could be in any state, okay? Okay. So this person, this is a comment. I don't think I talked about this comment yet. It says, sorry I missed this one yesterday due to maintenance in my apartment. So watching this video while I can. Okay, they're looking at one of our YouTube live videos. Thank you for explaining the debtor's exam to me. I don't even like to, okay, that's right. I laughed when I read this. I don't even like to say or type that word. It is like Friday the 13th to me. I don't do Friday the 13th. I do not leave my house, nor do I work on those days. I would take off, and both companies that I worked for knew that when I started. So he wouldn't work on Friday the 13th, and his employers knew it. So I was able to take that day off. I've been that way ever since I was 5 years old, and just would not go to school on those days either. Guy's really superstitious. And just hearing the words debtor's exam puts the same fear in me of Friday the 13th. Sad but true. I learned a lot from this session. Sorry I missed, and grateful that they can be watched at a later date. Thank you, Eric, and helps for all you do for us. God bless. Okay. I'm not going to go over Friday the 13th. I'm not going to go over debtor's exams except to say that don't need to worry about it. And I talk about that pretty regularly. Very rarely happens, and if it were to happen, it's not an issue. Okay. And I avoid talking about it because for this very reason, this guy, he just strikes fear in him. It's just, I guess it's the word. Okay. But you don't need to worry about it. Well, now that I mentioned it, I guess I should say something about it real quick. On very rare occasions in certain states, a creditor that gets a judgment against you can file paperwork with the court requiring you to come into court to answer questions about your assets. And sometimes that's called a debtor's exam. And when that happens with one of our HELPS clients, which is rare, we contact the attorney that filed the paperwork. We show them the information that our client's income is protected and their other assets. And 19 out of 20 times they drop it. Okay. Only time they don't drop it usually is, if they don't drop it, it's because they maybe never read our emails. We attempted to contact them, or we call them on the phone. They never answer the phone or never get back to us. But the chance of having a problem is really minimal, so don't worry. And if it were, we'll be able to tell you exactly what to do, so there's nothing to be concerned about, okay? But I appreciate this guy being superstitious. To the hilt on Friday the 13th. This person contacted us. He's a disabled veteran, only receiving VA disability, multiple charge-offs. After disability, debt collectors won't leave me alone. What to do without bankruptcy? Well, okay, HELP stands for Help Eliminate Legal Problems for Seniors, HELPS, and Disabled Persons. Okay, so we not only represent seniors, but we represent anyone that's disabled and receiving disability. So this guy's a veteran. very likely not a senior yet, but he gets VA disability, which is protected under federal law, okay? And state disability is protected under state law, other forms of disability. So his income's going to be protected. He says he's got the debt collectors won't leave him alone. Well, we're going to tell him, we can send him a cease and desist letter. Then they have to leave him alone. They have to communicate with us, not you. What to do? I mean, we're going to ask him questions about his situation. If he decides he wants our help, he can enroll in helps. We don't turn anyone away. Those that pay a very minimal amount. And then he's going to give us the creditors to whom he owes money, the debt collectors. We're going to send a cease and desist letter, and they're going to leave him alone. Peace is going to come back to his life. He doesn't need to file bankruptcy. He can if you want, but don't need to. I started helps because, the vast majority of seniors didn't need to file bankruptcy. They couldn't afford to file bankruptcy. But it didn't matter even if they could afford. They didn't need to file it. All they needed was protection from debt collectors. And so that's what helps does. We protect you from the collectors harassing you. They got to leave you alone. And you can use this money you're using to pay the debts for your food and your medicine. Okay? That's what we're here for. And if you got questions about different things, we're going to answer those questions. If you got a car payment you can't afford, if you got an RV that's going to go that you can't afford for whatever reason, can't drive it anymore, all kinds of things. If you got a house payment there's problems with, maybe your rent's too high, we answer questions. Our second mission, in addition to protecting you from collector harassment, is to educate you how you can maintain your financial independence. And that's what helps does. Because we don't want you to have to worry. Okay. So Jimmy says, my credit union lady told me that they have a algorithm in place that flags the account that has protected money flowing into it. It's all part of a new upgrade they did. Well, I'm glad the credit union did an upgrade because a lot of them need to do upgrades. Actually, the way it works is this rule that went into effect in 2012. If they get a writ of garnishment, all they have to do is look at the code where the deposits were made. And the code will indicate if it's from a federal source. Okay? It could be from Social Security, a federal pension, U.S. Post Office, VA benefit, railroad worker. Those are all federal forms of retirement or income. And then they know that they times that times 2 and protect that automatically. Now, I will say this. I've yet to meet a bank manager that understands the rule. Now, maybe one of you have, okay? But the department in the bank or credit union that deals with garnishments, they understand the rule. So don't go to your bank manager and say, I heard this, and they might say, oh no, we have to take the money. They don't know what they're talking about. Okay. Okay. I realize a lot of you talk about different things, which is fine, but if you're listening and you have a question, put it in there. I'm pretty good at spotting the questions. Okay? Hi, Mr. Olsen, Senior here. Can I stop paying this? I don't know what this is. If it's a credit card or you can. I mean, when you enroll in helps, you can stop paying your old debt. Now, obviously, If you got a cable bill and you want to watch TV, you got to pay the cable bill, and you got to pay the electrical bill, garbage, rent, things like that. Things like that. Credit management company. Well, you need to listen earlier on this broadcast, Divine. You're talking about a debt consolidation or a debt management company. No, you don't need to pay them. When you enroll with them, if you're enrolled with them, if you're paying them, did they tell you when you enrolled, by the way, divine angel, do you know that all your income is protected? No one can touch your Social Security. No one can touch your pension. You really don't need to pay us because no one can take anything from you. And do you realize, divine angel, that a cease and desist letter can be sent to your collectors and they can no longer call. They have to leave you alone. Did they tell you that? And the answer is going to be no. They never told me that. Now, why did they tell you that? They didn't tell you that because if you knew that, you would know you wouldn't need their help, and they wouldn't make money from you. So it's not the practice of these companies, with some exceptions, to tell a senior, by the way, you don't need our help because your income's protected. That makes sense? Okay? That's why they do it. I remember a few years ago, I got the report from Money Management International. And in the report, they said I think it was 38% of their clients were seniors. And I'm assuming that probably is industry-wide, okay? So my question is, if over a third of their clients are seniors, these seniors aren't being told their income is protected, okay? Yeah, they never inform me, she says. Divine Angel says that. You're right. They don't do that. That's why I get upset about this and I talk about it maybe more often than I should. But, we talk to clients every day. It helps that are enrolled with debt management. I mean, if you get on the internet and you type help for debt, something like that, these companies are going to crop up, maybe half a dozen of them. Now, senior with debt they can't afford to pay, helps is going to be there somewhere. But, if you're a senior searching for help and all of a sudden these companies pop up and you call one of them and they don't tell you about this, you're going to you might sign up with them paying for debt you don't need to pay. Now, why are there so many? And some of them they advertise. Well, because they get a huge fee. They get to take a certain percentage of what you pay. They get donations from the credit card companies on whose behalf they collect. Sometimes their donation is automatic. So if they collect $100, maybe $20 of that they get to keep as a prearranged agreement with that credit card company to be a donation to them. So Francie asked, I'm still current on debts, but can't do it much longer. Can I stop credit card payments? Absolutely. What we especially tell seniors is that don't use your protected funds like a 401k or IRA to pay debt, because you need to keep that. That's safe and protected. You don't need to pay the debt. You can stop paying it. Sometimes I talk about how paying debt is like you're in a hole, okay, and you're digging the hole and you're throwing the dirt out, and then at some point you can't throw the dirt out and it starts crumbling in. You finally realize you can't keep up with the payments anymore. Okay, so you can stop digging the hole earlier. You don't have to wait till it starts crumbling in. You could stop now. Remember, your Social Security, your pension, your disability is all protected, and you can stop paying the debt. If you don't want to hear from the creditors anymore or collectors, you can contact helps. We'll talk to you. We talk to, we got people right now answering the phone, talking to seniors that are having problems. You can always call us. And then when you enroll in helps, you're a client literally forever. So if you ever worried or scared, you get a hold of us, we're going to answer your question. If you get a new debt collection, when you enroll, you're going to give us the creditors or collectors you owe money to. We're going to send them a cease and desist letter. They're going to leave you alone. And then, 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, you get a new collection notice from a different debt collector. Maybe an old debt collector sold it to a new debt collector. First, you tell them you're represented by Helps, give them our name and number, and hang up the phone. But you get us that new debt collector's information. We're going to send out a new cease and desist letter to that new debt collector so they don't bother you anymore. Okay? So Mabel says, I have 2 checking accounts. My Social Security goes into one account and my part-time wages go into another. Well, okay. When we talk about this, well, you don't need to worry about that unless you're sued. But if you are sued, you're going to want to have just one bank account, and that's the bank account to which your Social Security goes. Why is that? Because that account to which your Social Security goes, or a federal benefit, like federal retirement, which includes, of course, Social Security, is automatically protected from garnishment up to an amount equal to twice the amount you receive. So if that account had some wages in it, it's going to be protected as long as you keep the amount in there less than twice the amount you get from Social Security each month. So generally we tell our clients should have one account, and that's the account to which Social Security goes. And have your other monies go into there. You don't need to be scared. Now, I know it's natural to be scared. That's why Helps was started. I was doing great with bankruptcy, but I just knew these seniors couldn't afford bankruptcy. Were desperate for help, and there was no one helping him. So, Helps came to be able to represent seniors so they'd have an attorney so debt collectors would simply leave them alone. We represent seniors in all 50 states. We don't represent seniors in court. Our clients don't need to go to court. If they get a judgment, they're judgment proof. Their income is protected. Their assets are protected for various reasons. You don't need to be scared. And if you are scared, what do I tell you? I tell you to pick up the phone and call us. We tell our clients they can call us anytime they want. I don't care if they call every day. And you can listen to these videos, and we have videos on our YouTube page. And you'll finally realize you don't have anything to worry about. You're going to be okay. Okay? Yeah, Ruger says, how can I pay the negotiated account when all your money is going to debt management company? Yeah. Well, you don't need to pay the negotiated amount. You don't need to pay the debt management company. Your income is available for your food, your medicine, and your needs. We don't want you to go without. You got to realize you're not breaking the law when you don't pay the debt. Lawmakers protected your income for a reason. Society wants seniors to have money so they'll be able to support themselves. You're not living high off the hog. I know that. No. Now, obviously, if you can afford to pay the debt and you want to pay it, that's great. But if you can't afford it, you don't need to. Same goes with your taxes. If you owe IRS taxes, you can get on currently not collectible status. If you have student loans, you can get on an income-based repayment plan, not pay the student loan. If you got a car payment that you can't afford and the car is worth less than what you owe, you can let the car go back. Same with an RV. You don't need to pay a timeshare. The list goes on. Okay? You're going to be fine. Is it 2 times your net or the gross? It's 2 times the net, whatever's deposited in your bank account. That's the amount that the bank protects. If they get a writ of garnishment, first someone would have to sue you, then they have to know where you bank. And then if they filed a writ of garnishment on the bank looks at your bank account and they can determine where the money came from that's deposited. And if they see that it came from a federal source, whatever that amount is that came from the federal source, they don't know the gross. All they know is what's been deposited. And they take that times 2 and protect that automatically. It doesn't matter when you enroll. You don't have to wait. You can enroll whenever you want. Okay, it's up to you. So I should just stop paying the debt management company? And if there's any problems, you will contact them? Well, let me talk about that a little bit more. Yeah, you could stop paying the debt management company. We tell people to, if they're taking it out automatically, you can call them on the phone, tell them you don't want to take it out automatically. You can call them on the phone. And I tell people to call them on the phone. If they're holding any money for you, tell them you're canceling. And you want them to return the money that they're holding for you. Okay? And it could be a sizable amount. And sometimes I'll tell people, I say, you can ask them, why when I enrolled with you, didn't you tell me that my Social Security was protected? I've been cutting back on my medicine and my food to be able to pay you. Now I find out I don't have to pay you anything. Why didn't you tell me this information when I enrolled you? And see what they tell you. Yeah. So, occasionally we will help call a debt management company with a client. We'll get someone that maybe is very gentle soul or, feeble for whatever reason. We'll do a joint call, but that's not very often. I haven't had to do that for ages. Maybe some of our paralegals will do that, but you don't need, you just call them on the phone, tell them you want it stopped. Okay? After being helped with 3 months and we need Phil at Tyrone help with restoring credit, will he or we get a copy of our credit report to see what he'll tell you how to do that. So if you've been with Part of Helps for over 3 months, 90 days, call us. We'll send you an email with a link to his program, and you can start trying to rebuild your credit. Not all Helps clients want to rebuild their credit, but those that do, I pay him money every month so that he helps our clients rebuild credit. And I keep saying I'm going to have him back on. I need to do that. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll do that again. Okay. On phone or certified mail? No, just call them on the phone to cancel. Just call them on the phone. You tell me you want to cancel. If they ask why, just tell them why. Say, well, my income's protected. I don't need to pay you anymore. Why didn't you tell me that when I enrolled? You don't need to do both. Just stop. They should stop. Shouldn't be an issue. And ask for any money they're holding to be returned to you. Okay. So, someone called yesterday. And what it was a mom who had got a credit card, apparently with her name on it and the daughter's name on it. But the daughter hadn't authorized the credit card, and mom had run the credit card up. Now the daughter was having problems with the debt being reported on her credit bureau. But the daughter says, I never authorized that credit card. My mom got that credit card in my name without my authority. I never signed up for it. Mom used that credit card under my credit. Now mom was really upset because the daughter was upset. And mom was calling me, and so I told mom, I said, well, have the daughter call me. She doesn't have to pay the debt. She can just claim that, tell the credit card company that I didn't incur that debt. Someone fraudulently, it was my mom, technically fraudulently, signed my name and got that credit. Now, is the mom going to get into trouble? No, not going to get in trouble. But mom can't solve the problem. Only the daughter can solve the problem, and I'll tell the daughter what to do. And so, you might say, well, the daughter's throwing mom under the bus. Well, Not really, because nothing bad's going to happen to mom. Okay, a creditor isn't going to. Mom's income is protected. If that creditor came after mom and sued her instead of the daughter, they want to be able to collect from the mom. Okay, but the mom can't. It's not going to be possible for the mom to go to the creditor and say, I did this fraudulently. The creditor didn't care, but they're going to go against the daughter. And the daughter's simply going to say, hey, I didn't authorize that. I told the mom, I said, it'd be like you if you happened to get a hold of my information and ran up a credit card in my name and used it without letting me, and I had nothing to do with it. Then I would say, hey, I've been defrauded. So no, nothing to worry about. But the daughter's going to have to be one to take care of it. First, I wanted to know, are funds in an ABLE account protected from creditors if I get sued and there's a judgment against me? So an ABLE account is kind of a new account for people that are on disability. It's kind of like an IRA. It's under state law. ABLE accounts are under state law. I can't imagine a state ABLE account ever being set up in a state that isn't protected. Okay, so I'm sure it's going to be protected. Okay? That's kind of a detailed question. If you have detailed questions, you can always call us direct and we can go over them with you. Okay? Okay. A person called in. Oh, yeah. Her sister, who was a former client, referred her to us for help with her credit card debt. She had been venting to her sister about National Debt Relief, which is a debt management company or a debt settlement company, and how she is shelling out almost $1,000 a month to them. And her sister told her to get on the phone to Helps immediately. Yeah. She accrued the debt from where she had gotten injured and could not work anymore, feeling down in the pits. She says because she still tried to fix things and was able to take on a job working herself 6 days a week to help pay for bills and include National Debt Relief. But feels National Debt Relief took her for a ride. They did. And she has surgery come up, unsure if she will have work left, already feeling anxiety from her upcoming procedures. If she will even survive the surgery, you still have to deal with harassment. She is still getting harassed by the phone and mail, even though they were supposed to be helping her, National Debt Relief. Assured her, comforted her. This is the paralegal says. I assured her, comforted her, everything will work out. And we even said the surgery will go well. And we rolled her. Okay. Yeah. So that's what we did. We told her she could stop paying National Debt Relief $1,000 a month. No one could take her money. People do love Helps. I remember when I first started Help back in 2012, 2013, early years. Really threw mud at the wall. What I mean by that, I tried to get the word out about Helps, and we developed a bunch of videos. I think I have 40 hours of videos with our early clients. Some of them are still on some of our videos. Not too many of them are, but they're really old now. And I remember one guy, this couple, a really sweet couple, and he looked at the camera and he said, Helps cured my cancer. He was convinced we had cured his cancer. Of course, we didn't cure his cancer, but he was so relieved of stuff. He was just like totally relieved not to have to deal with his debt anymore. So we definitely relieved his stress, that's for sure. But we're not making any representations that Helps is going to cure anyone's cancer. So this person contacted us from Indiana. They had $2,000 a month income. And actually, it was the daughter called for mom. You know, we get a lot of kids call in for parents, okay? Which is great. Mom was 83, and they want to know about what to do about mom's debts. She had owes about almost a little bit less than $20,000. And mom had written notes about making certain payments. We discussed what HELPS does and how her bank account was protected and how to change mom's bank account to a different bank account and how to stop any auto pays. It ends by saying she was thankful she thought to Google how to help her because she had been overwhelmed and now she has a better plan. I will send it all to her information for credit card debt, mom, and she enrolled with HELPS. The daughter enrolled mom with HELPS. The mom either had power of attorney, or the daughter either had power of attorney, or we did it with the mom on the phone, explained how mom's income was protected. She didn't need to worry anymore. In fact, we have a bunch of form letters. One I developed way long time ago was one that says, I call it "Thank you for watching out for mom." That we'll send to. Well, sometimes I'll click a button and they'll get a letter from HELPS saying, you know, thank you for calling us about your parent. Because I talk to a lot of seniors, kids don't help them, and so I'm always grateful where, you know, a parent that needs help, there's a kid there helping them. Yeah, press the like button. And if you haven't already, always, you know, you can subscribe to our channel. Do that. People find out about HELPS from this YouTube channel. A lot of them need it. Okay. I'll have to kind of. This person has been in the hospital in and out for the last 18 months. A lot of different issues. And because of that, whoops. They incurred a bunch of debt. And it says, now they've been released. I am now in a desperate state of panic because my plan to take care of these bills has completely fallen apart. A consolidation loan, but with no real income. I've been denied by all lending institutions other than debt relief companies. Sure. I've watched your YouTube channel for years, knowing that your knowledge. Okay, I need help. 72 years old. And then I don't know when we first got this call from this person. Oh, and then they called again. Worried about their credit. We told him he could get the credit back if he's really worried about it. And he enrolled in HELPS. So I hope when he enrolled, he realizes that he no longer needs to be in a desperate state of panic. If you're in a desperate state of panic because of debt, not knowing what to do, listen to what we've been talking about. You're going to be okay. You don't need to pay the debt. And if you want our help, you can call us on the phone. We'll go over this with you. Some people will call us 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Some people will call us, people are enrolling today that first contacted us maybe several years ago. And finally they realize, yeah, we need this help. I don't want to deal with it anymore. So this guy called, and in fact, I enrolled him from Louisiana. Okay, the first note said he's drowning in debt, both personal and business. 70 years old. He gets Social Security, but he's working part-time as an independent. He does delivery. He has another job. And he's got a lot of business debt. Okay. And he's got an SBA loan that is currently deferred. I'll talk about that. He says, my income total is $3,600. I'm sinking fast. Help. He first called us back in December, and then he called us in January. Want to know if debt consolidation would be a better choice for him. And then he called again in March, and eventually and apparently he signed up with debt settlement. And then he says that he's in a lot of debt. He has some personal loans with Upstart, credit card debt. Can we help him? He's in a debt management company. Should he cancel with them first? No, he doesn't have to. He can cancel after you enroll in helps or simultaneously. A lot of times we'll enroll people and we'll say, next phone call needs to be the debt management company to cancel with them. You don't need them. You don't need to cancel with them before you enroll. Cancel them the next minute. Okay? And he wasn't, at one point he wasn't sure about giving us information, and we told him, look at our website some more. You need to feel comfortable about us. And so let me talk about this. He had some business debt. So, HELPS operates under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, which protects seniors from debt collectors, okay? For consumer debt, not business debt, okay? But, if a senior enrolls with HELPS and they have business debt, we're going to send a cease and desist letter out on that business debt as well. Even though technically they could still communicate with you. And sometimes these business debt collectors will get a letter from them and say, well, this is a business debt. We're not going to acknowledge this letter. Well, that's fine. We explained to our client that, a business collector can still contact you. You don't have to communicate with them. You could still tell them, refer them to HELPS. They're eventually going to give up. The important thing for you to realize is that your income is protected. And that's what we told this guy that had a lot of business debt. I said, the business debt that you owe for your business is protected. No one can touch your Social Security. Now, what about his business income? Well, okay, he didn't make a whole lot, but it was something. I said, the debt that he incurred for the business, he incurred personally, but the business happened to be under a little corporation name. It was an LLC or Subchapter S corporation. I explained to him, well, that is a different legal entity. If they got a judgment against you, they couldn't touch the business they couldn't touch the income from your business. If you're really worried about it, you could, shut the business down and open the business. Your wife could open the business under her name and you become her employee. Okay, and then you work for minimum wage for your wife. There's different ways to protect. In other words, you're not going to have a problem with losing any of that little bit of money you get from that side job you have. And we'll explain you how to do that, which is completely legal to do. The business had no assets. Okay. He just drove. He didn't need to worry. And he was relieved to enroll in HELPS. Why? Because he didn't have to pay any of the credit cards anymore. He didn't have to pay the debt management company anymore. He didn't have to worry about these creditors calling him on the phone anymore. He understood how his bank account was protected. He understood if he got sued, there wasn't going to be a problem. And he knew he could always call us if he had a question or if he's worried or concerned. And that's what I'd say to anyone listening to me. You don't need to be worried or concerned. And if you can call us. Okay? So Angel says here, yes, I called you a few times. And then you got my call, and boom, I enrolled. Best decision I have ever made. Boy, I've heard that before. Yeah, there's probably better decisions you made, but I do agree if you're being surrounded by debt collectors and you don't know the law, they can make life really, really miserable, worrying when you don't need to worry. And so when you find out about how your income's protected, boy, what a relief that would be. Oh, I can imagine. Donald says, I live in Florida. My home is fully protected. It's fully paid off, and I have a homestead exemption filed. Can a creditor place a lien on my home if both me and my spouse name? Well, yeah, that can be a lien, but I'll explain. Okay. If you want to sell the home, there's a form you can file in Florida. You file and you serve it on the person who has the judgment against. So the lien can be it's a judgment lien. You file that, and the creditor has to object to it, and they won't, because the home is protected under under Florida's homestead protection laws. And you file that, the lien on the home is relieved for like 108 for 6. You have 6 months to sell the home, and you can sell, and the judgment lien is not on the home. You get all the money for the home. Now, if you can't sell it in 6 months, you can file the form again and get another 6 months. You could do that ad infinitum. Okay. Now, if the judgment is just against you, you pass away, then the home goes to your wife, the judgment lien disappears. A judgment is only a lien on property that you own. And if you die before your spouse, then you no longer own property. You're in heaven. You don't own property in heaven. The property under operational law passes to your spouse or the co-owner at your death. So yeah, you can get the lien off. You don't need to worry about it, Donald, at all. See, a judgment lien is not a lien on a specific piece of property. It's on property that you own. So in other words, if you went to sell a piece of property and there's a judgment lien, almost anywhere in the United States, okay. If you sell it, there's going to be a title report issued, because the person who buys it wants to make sure there's no liens. And the title report will show that, hey, there's a judgment in this county and it's on this property. So you got to get that lien removed. And there's different processes for doing that. Okay. Depends on the state. But in Florida, it's really easy. Can I get back fees they took out on a settlement that I only paid $2,800 in? They made 2 payments, took out the rest in their fees. You're talking about a debt management company or a debt settlement company? No. I mean, no. It'd be virtually impossible to get them to return any money to you. What if you have an inheritance? Can creditors take it? Well, first, a creditor would have to have sued you, have a judgment against you, and then they have to know about the inheritance, which is all pretty unlikely. I mean, so they know about a judgment. They may get a judgment against you, but how are they going to know that you're getting an inheritance or that you received an inheritance? As a practical matter, they're not going to be able to do that. I can't recall in over 4 decades of legal practice in this area that anyone ever garnished an inheritance. They don't know about it. See, when a creditor gets a judgment against a senior and they get a letter from HELPS letting them know that their income is protected and they're not going to pay the debt, it pretty much lets that creditor know that it's a waste of our time to collect. They're not following up on this exam, and how are they going to find out you got an inheritance? There's no way for them to find out. So no, you shouldn't worry about that kind of thing. Okay? Now, if you got the money, you could put it in a place where it could be protected. But a lot of times we don't like to talk about things until they're happening or they're going to happen. It's like, what happens if I'm in New Orleans and I want to drive to Los Angeles? Well, I don't know. If I'm in New York and I want to drive to Los Angeles, what bridge do I use to cross the Mississippi if I'm going to drive to Los Angeles 2 years from now? Well, you make that decision when you're on the road and you know which way you're going to go. Okay? Don't make it now because the bridge may be being repaired. The ship may have ran into it and knocked it down. Who knows? I mean, you make those decisions later. Okay, we're almost done for today. We got one more day. We do this Monday through Thursdays. Same time. I think I'm going to call it for the day because this next one's pretty long. So thanks for participating. Please press the like button. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do it. Do it down at the bottom. I guess there's a place where you do that. You can put a comment on the comment. If you want to ask a question, put it on the comment. I read those comments and try to answer them. Okay? But if I haven't covered your question or if you have more questions, call us on the phone, 855-435-7787. 855 helps us or helps US. We'll answer your question. Please share what helps does with others. I tell people, if you're talking to someone, you happen this kind of topic comes up, if it pops in your mind, helps, maybe that's a message to you that you need to talk to this person. At least tell them what helps is, and you don't have to say you're part of it. You say, I heard about this law firm that helps seniors that are having debt problems. Blah blah blah. So. So don't worry. No, we do helps YouTube Live 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday for an hour. Okay? So everyone have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. God bless.